Modi.
He's a very impressive man.
India and the Philippines face different but connected challenges in China.
A rejection of any unilateral attempt to change boundaries.
First country that bought the BrahMos system from India.
Officers and men who operate the BrahMos system, they say we need more.
Mr. President, welcome to India and thank you for joining us here.
Thank you very much for having me, and I'm very, very happy to be here and be with you in India.
Tell us about your meeting with Prime Minister Modi and the equation that you share with him.
He's a very impressive man. And I think we were able to cover so many subjects, we covered a great deal of ground, and not superficially either. We spoke in relatively much detail. Generally, at these very quick meetings, hour-long meetings, you don't get to talk about, you talk about a great many things, but you don't really get to the nitty-gritty of the problem and how it applies to your two countries. We managed to do that.
India and the Philippines face different but connected challenges in China. You in the high seas, India in the Himalayas. Do you think that's one factor that is bringing the two sides together?
Inevitably, it is, but we are forming here. That's one of the aspects of the new parts of the India-Philippines relationship, is this formation of a global coalition, really, of like-minded states. States that share our values, that share our adherence to international law. And in our cases, specifically, it's the UNCLOS, because it's the law of the sea, and that is where we are having problems. But essentially, the similarity between our situations is that it is a rejection of any unilateral attempt to change boundaries. It's really that simple.
Did the China challenge come up in your conversation with the Indian leadership this time?
Yes, but very tangentially. We are not here to bemoan whatever it is that China is doing, but really to, again, form that coalition. We are not against anyone.
For the moment, I want to talk about the BrahMos missiles. You were the first country that bought the BrahMos system from India. What's next? Is it fighter jets from India? Is it naval systems? Are more purchases on the cards?
Well, everything's on the table right now. As you may know, the Philippines is in the midst of a modernization of our military. So we are looking to see what's the most suitable for our defensive needs. Let me be clear, though. We are not girding up for war. We are simply reacting to the challenges that we are facing. I've spoken to the officers and men who operate the BrahMos system, and they say we need more. So their experience of it, thank God, it has never been used. But from the demonstrations that they've seen, from the training that they've received both in India and in the Philippines, the practice runs that they've done, they seem terribly confident in the equipment, and I think that we are in the process of actually procuring more.
Mr. President, India was involved in a military conflict.
Try Whoop for free and feel the difference. Optimize.
They evaded Chinese defense systems and struck Pakistani bases. Were you and your team impressed by their performance?
Oh yes, they immediately contacted their counterparts here in India and said what happened, and they're chatting and trying to really analyze how it went, what the changes in down to that level, what changes in procedure they think that they should initiate, all of this. But with the performance, there's no question that the system did very well.
So are you confident then that Indian systems and Indian weapons can not just stand up to but defeat Chinese weapons in an actual conflict?
We don't look at it that way. We look at it if they are able to defend the Philippines, and I think they will. I think they're very good pieces of equipment. We have learned we have trained to be able to use them for maximum effect. Should the time come, God forbid. But as a missile system, they fill the bill, as it were.
There have been multiple close shaves between Chinese and Filipino vessels in recent past, with the Chinese ships also firing water cannons at Filipino ships. Are you worried that this may escalate into a full-blown crisis, that a small misunderstanding may blow up into something much bigger?
That is precisely what we are worried about. The likelihood of a full blown out war of one side or the other saying, okay, I'm going to war tomorrow, is very, very small. No one, I don't think, no one involved, any of these parties that we just spoke about, no one wants to go to war. However, and this is again, that's what I said, that's why it's so important for us to be interoperable with our allies, is you can make a mistake. Some guy pushes the wrong button. You know, the navigation goes wrong, and a mistake, a misunderstanding and a mistake. And that could just blow out of proportion, and people start to overreact, and before you know it, it's a shooting war, and that is what we want to avoid.
Your recent State of the Nation address is coming under a lot of scrutiny. In last year's speech, you promised to not yield even an inch of Philippine land in disputed areas. This year, your statement did not make an explicit mention of that, of the West Philippine Sea, but you focused more on non-alignment on Manila's part. Would you say you watered down your statement? Did you, and why?
No, I did not. You're the second person to ask me that. But the two things are not mutually exclusive. You can defend your sovereignty, you can defend your territory, you can do all of that, you can modernize your military, and at the same time, you can continue to be a friend to all and an enemy of none. We say it again, the Philippines will not cede 1 square inch of our territory. We will not give up the exercise of our sovereign rights, ever.
You're a treaty ally of the United States, and an important part of that treaty is mutual defense. You were also in Washington recently, and you had a conversation with the new president, Donald Trump. Are you convinced that if the Philippines faced a security challenge, the U.S. under Mr. Trump would come to your defense?
I am. Because the assurances that we have been receiving in those terms from the new administration before I went there, and when I went there, and since that visit, I've been very, very strong from the Secretary of State, from the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State Mark Rubio, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, and all the other officials, that the policy on the Philippines does not change.
Another flashpoint in the neighborhood is Taiwan, and
Yes.
most experts fear that Beijing will invade Taiwan before the end of this decade. If that were to happen while you're still in power, would you be open to allowing the U.S. use resources and bases in the Philippines to defend Taiwan, or would you rather stay out of it?
To be very practical about it, if there is a confrontation over Taiwan between China and the United States, there is no way that the Philippines can stay out of it, simply because of our physical geographic location. To understand how close Taiwan is to the Philippines, the large city of Kaohsiung in Taiwan is a 40-minute flight away from the capital of my province in northern Philippines, in Lawag. That's how close it is. And so if you think about it, if there is an all-out war, then we will be drawn into it. And I assure you, with the greatest hesitation, but we will have to defend our territory and our sovereignty.
There's the BRICS group
Yes.
that the U.S. president is not a fan of, evidently, but it is expanding, and now it has 10 members. And earlier this year, a senator in the Philippines said that Manila should join the BRICS. Would you want to join the BRICS?
I think that way, I'd certainly be open to it. I haven't given it a lot of thought. We'd have to we'll look into it, but it provides us more options. It would help to provide more options. Maybe it's something that we don't necessarily are looking for right now, but I don't know. We've not really thought about it. We've been too concerned looking internally how to make the economy work, how to bring growth, how to create jobs and all that. So, well, it's a thought. Now that you mention it, we'll have a discussion about it.
I have to ask you about Gaza. You are an ally. Philippines is an ally of Israel, but you've also
Yes.
voted for a ceasefire at the United
Yes,
Nations.
of
The situation is deteriorating. There is talk of starvation in Gaza. Do you think the world is doing enough to stop Israel? Do you believe Israel is starving Gazans on purpose?
I think the world is doing what it can. At least certainly the European countries with the now the threat of first the UK and then some other EU countries who recognize a Palestinian state within the year. I believe during the General Assembly of the United Nations, I think is the intended schedule. So these are the forces that it can bring to bear on Israel, because I think I don't know what they say in Israel, but everywhere else I think it is unanimous that the humanitarian cost of the continued attacks on Gaza is unacceptable. The death, the destruction, and now the starvation, they should not be happening in this day and age. We should not allow this. But what can one do? We look on in horror at the death, the destruction, the suffering. But what always brings tears to my eyes are the children. Why the children? You know, it's impossible. At least an adult, you can say we're at war, so we have to sacrifice. How do you explain that to a child? And that's not fair. That's not right.
Thank you very much. for
I
your
fully
time.
agree with you. Thank you very much.